Hi, and welcome to the SBP Podcast, the voice of mobile film. I'm your host, Susie Botello, and you are listening to episode 60. What do you think is more important when making your films? Whether you're using a smartphone camera or not, do you think audio is more important or video? A long time ago, before most of us were born, video came without audio. But today, most video comes with audio. Now back then, even silent films had audio. You wouldn't go to YouTube to watch videos back then. They were recorded on literally film. And then they were projected on a big screen. They had no sound, but there was still sound which accompanied the films. Like a theater performance going to the movies, a performance, it was a show. Now, it wasn't until 1927 that the first talkie was produced. It was called The Jazz Singer. Before then, the performance included, you're not going to believe this, okay, you will if you know this, live music. At first, it began with a pianist and then with a full orchestra. Now, it wasn't synchronized sound as we know it today. Why am I sharing this? One of the questions we used to get a lot when I launched the International Mobile Film Festival in San Diego was about sound. Does it have to be recorded with a phone too? The answer was always no. You can record the sound with any other equipment and insert music or whatever you need, like sound effects, into your film, video. By the way, we begin accepting short and feature films on June 19th, and we'll throw a link to our website in the podcast notes. So do you think audio is more important to your production than video? Your audience will rarely forgive you for bad audio, and that is true. In this episode of the SBP Podcast, I present you with the first place winner of the 2019 International Mobile Film Festival, which took place in San Diego last April. His name is Blake Worrell from LA, living in Spain, which is where he was last night when we recorded this podcast. Before we go to speak with him, you're going to hear a short sample of his music, a song called Bumpers from the Beast Within album released in 2013. And if you would like to hear the entire song, you can stay through to the end where we share the entire song. Now, you can find out more about Blake on his website, blakeworrell.com. And actually, to spell that, it's Blake Worrell with 2 R's and 2 L's. So let's go talk to Blake.
Like cereal, stereo, very low. Feel them bubbles tearing through. Reconnect, repeat it, rewind, DJ, bump that shit.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the SBP Podcast. I am here with Blake Worrell, the first prize winner of the International Mobile Film Festival in San Diego this past April. He won first place with his film Upend. Congratulations, Blake.
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome. That was very short. Where's your speech?
Yeah, I'd like to thank mobile phones for giving me the possibility to make something with nothing. Well, practically nothing.
Right.
But then again, these phones I'm really shooting with the same amount of quality that films were about 15, 20 years ago. So There is that.
There is that. Well, as wonderful and as smart as our smartphones are, it still takes a person to make a film with it. Your skills were superb. Upend, for listeners, listen to this. Upend also won the Best Visual Effects Award at the 2018 Global Mobile Film Awards. So congratulations on that as well.
Thank you very much.
Definitely a wonderful film. It looks great. It sounds great. It's got a great story. Great acting by yourself and Arly Jover. Did I say
my wife? Yes.
Yeah, or is it Jover, or how do you say
Yeah,
it?
Jover. Arly Jover. Yeah.
And you are right now. Where are you?
Right now, we're at home. We're our home base right now is Palma.
Palma de Mallorca.
Yeah, in Spain. So we also have a place in LA, but we go back and forth. Basically, it's this is where we relax, and the office is home in LA.
And you shot your film with an iPhone.
Yes.
And
6S. And
did you realize how 6S sounds so close to success?
Yeah, right. Thank you. Yeah. So 6S. There was a few shots that I used iPhone 8. You would think it was the planet shots, but it's not. Actually, it was, I forget what shot. There's the shots where I'm outside, which is really quick. Me running up the hill.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. But for the most part, it's iPhone 6S.
Share a little bit about just very briefly about what the film is about, and then share how you came up with the idea of the story.
The film is about a father who loses his child just through another dimensional porthole, and he goes after him. And he has him, he goes through, and he comes back, and he realizes he came to another dimension. So it's just kind of this play with dimensions. You know, it's basically kind of like Inception in a way, but in terms of dream worlds, I got to work on my elevator pitch on it. But it's basically that, just dimensional mind games, dimensional flips, in search for a father in search of his son. And the idea came actually from a scene that you don't see. I wanted to shoot it. There's actually two scenes that I really, really, really wanted to shoot. But because of logistics, it wasn't really feasible. And during that time, we were actually, my wife and I, we were moving. We were relocating our house. It was just really chaotic in personal life. So there was a limited amount of time. And also I had another job. She had another job. So we were both working on other things. And literally it was that, well, I'll go back to where the idea started. I was laying in bed. We were sleeping, about to go to sleep. And it's one of those things where you're just about to hit dream world, go to sleep, and then you have this kind of vision. So it was that. I just had this momentary thing of, oh my God, this is so weird. And I gave myself chills, you get like goosebumps. And that's where it started. And then it wasn't until like 8 months later when I had a bike accident a couple of years ago, or actually 3 years ago, and I had a piece of metal in my shoulder because I had broken my shoulder. And so they had to get the metal taken out. I had a surgery. This was in February 2018. And I figured, well, one of the scenes takes place in the hospital. This is a perfect opportunity to use this. So that's what we did. And it was really last minute because we had no idea what room it would be. We had no idea what the lighting was like. We had no idea what the location would be, let alone if there would be another person in the hospital room. So it was, and you could see there, we did some video interviews, and you could see on my Instagram page, Blake Worrell. We talk about that a little bit, but at the very last minute, I had a single room, which was amazing. This one woman at the hospital was like, "Well, we've got a single room. You know, there's not really many people in here right now, so you just want to take it?" And I was like, "Hell yes." So that was it. The problem, one of the biggest challenges of that short was, I like to say scene rather than short, because I'm basically taking a chunk of the movie that we're working on now, and I want to make one scene. And the biggest challenge for that scene was lighting, because it was a foggy day. It was kind of dark. Every now and then the sun would pop out. And I think that took me about that hospital scene took about 2 weeks. Wow. Because I really had to balance out all the cuts. There's a lot of work on the post side. And that, for me, that's what makes a film stick out from the rest. It's all about post production. I mean, yeah, of course, it's about filming and all that, and it's from the beginning to end process. It's super important. But what I notice is it's unfortunately it's common for early filmmakers to kind of overlook the sound design. That speaking of sound design,
I know that was so trippy. I was like, wait, could that have been done on purpose? Like,
sound design, mic drop.
Right? Oh my God, that's funny.
So, being that I mean, my career started at age 19, working for Roger Corman, and I worked in the sound department. And for me, that was my intro into film. Sound. I mean, I loved film before, but that really opened my eyes, because that's where things really come together. That's where you really make it stick.
You know what I notice in a lot of independent films or films that, this happens to, it's, the sound can sound okay as far as microphones picking up the actors and the dialogue and everything like that. It's the little subtle background, the natural sound that is missing, that makes it weird. And you don't really know what it is until you realize it. In movies that you see that have a better production value with sound, they always have a very subtle track in the background of natural sound that's to be expected in a room, instead of just the sound of people speaking.
Well, the thing is too, as a professional sound designer, the most common thing that people overlook is that there's dialogue going on. That's all we need. Throws in some music. That's it.
Yep.
It's like, no, if people just stop and listen to their environment, is there air conditioner going on? Is the fan on your computer going? Birds outside, cars passing by. What's the environment? And I mean, for me, film is a magic trick. It's a bunch of subliminal messages that are affecting the psyche. So, if someone's talking about something that's of high magnitude, of like, oh, we got to get out of here or something, whatever, and there's a sound of a siren passing by. I mean, that's just it's happening outside, but it applies to the situation being discussed.
Yeah.
So these little elements help. It's like in the there's about 3 or 4 layers of just atmosphere in that room alone that I put on top. So I put a little machine rumble, pitched it down, sound of air conditioning system, and then also a little high pitched sound at a certain frequency to create this kind of tension. Mm-hmm. So there's these little things you just don't hear. It's there. It's very little. It's very minimal, but it's there. Another common mistake that I noticed in filmmakers with doing sound design, they're doing too much. So every cut has this and all that stuff, and then it becomes this kind of like commercial almost. And it's a fine line between too little and too much. And the only thing I could say for beginning filmmakers who really want to, or intermediate, those who are really serious about it, getting there, just watch films. And watching films with the sound off is one aspect of it, of seeing how they put scenes together. That's super important. I highly recommend it. Watching films with the sound off. But another one I would recommend is actually watching or listening to films. Keep your eyes closed and listen to the story. That's another way to do it, because you really want to hone in on the senses. And for me, that's what film is really like hypersensitivity, really, really raising that bar. And for me, this film too, it's like this scene was specifically, I really wanted to push things to the limit. And that was a whole reason for this one. Like the first one I did, The Weird Sisters, in 2017, that one was just, I really wanted to explore this kind of, I wanted to play with the feeling. If this phone, that for me was the thing of breaking that border of mobile film and film, because that border becomes completely depleted, erased, transparent when you're immersed into the story. And for me, that was proof. It was like, well, if people can immerse in this story, and myself, and myself included, and other people, they would get goosebumps at the end. They're like, man, that totally gave me goosebumps. I'd just be there smiling like, wow, okay, cool. I'm not the only one. And what happened, like the last scene of The Weird Sisters that we shot with the same exact phone I'm still using today, iPhone 6S, for it to give them that sensation, that's like, yeah, awesome, cool, mission accomplished. So this one, Upend, I wanted to take it up another notch, and thankfully for having the tools that I have to use in post-production, I could really spend time and refine it. And again, that hospital scene was pretty challenging. But at the end of the day, you don't notice anything. Like, okay, they probably had light. We had no lights. There was only the window lights in these little, like, very sad, yellowish but very dim lights in the hospital. And that's another thing I play with color. I was like, well, if I try to normalize the color, I'm fighting with the elements. So that's why it kind of stays yellowish, this kind of yellow tone. And that's why I wanted to make a contrast between this abstract world and like green and yellow.
Yeah, and that's part of the story. That's, there's the unspoken word and, and all these vibes that you get about what's going on with the audio, like you were saying, with that little high pitch. I mean, I heard it. And it's because, everybody doesn't watch or listen to a movie in the same way. In some ways, it's subjective, but in other ways, there's a science to filmmaking. And you notice sometimes you don't know. Like, for example, 80% of the population likes a particular film, and you can safely say, as subjective as that is, that's a good film. And not everybody will understand exactly why, but there are enough people that if they sit down and they watch it carefully and listen to it carefully, they'll be able to pick those things up. Like for listeners, we're going to put the link to your film, and after listening to you speak and describe this stuff, when they're watching the film and they're listening for these things, they're going to see, or if they've even seen it before, they're going to see and hear things that they probably didn't before, just because you're sharing this part of it, which is one of the reasons why I love doing these podcast conversations with filmmakers like you. This isn't the first time we've done a podcast with you. I'm going to put the link to the other podcast with you with when I interviewed you, which was that film that you did. What was the name of that film again?
Dissolution.
And that was a similar thing too, along with that story, in a way, right?
Yeah, more today. It wasn't interdimensional or anything like that.
Right,
it was again about a kid, but it wasn't our kid. It was a situation that I got involved in as the character. The character got involved in. Basically, the character accidentally had an accident, and it's heavy. It's I hesitate to tell what it's about because it's so like oof.
But it's you're very good at conveying these types of
emotions.
Films.
Yes, and that's what I love to do. For me, communication is emotion. And the truth is, we had a script. I had been working on this script. First, I did about 5 drafts on my own, and then did another, I think, 2 or 3 with my wife. And at the end of the day, when we were in the hospital, because I was loaded up on like painkillers and stuff, and I don't know, we didn't really feel it. We were just like, you know what? Let's just drop the script. Let's just work with what we got. Let's experiment. Because that's what we did with Dissolution, the film from last year, 2018. We had no script. We just completely improvised.
Wow.
And actually the whole story was something else. The whole story was like about a breakup or something. Something like that. And it wasn't until the editing room where the whole film just kind of took a whole nother life. And then I just ADR'd the phone call, took another piece of footage that I found because there was an accident in the street. So I had filmed that in the moment. Nobody was hurt, but I mean, someone was hurt, but they were okay. So it's just, it's said again and again, and I'm kind of, cementing it, that a film takes form 3 times. You write it, you shoot it, and you edit it. And I think I've been working on a film this past week, and I just noticed how there's some, I think, beginner filmmakers who stick to the script too much in the editing room. It's like you really have to let it go. And when you have a really good editor who's taking care of you, got to trust them. There's got to be a trust. Because the film could take a whole nother life. It makes or breaks the film. And if you're sticking to the cuts, if you're sticking to that, if you're just sticking to it becomes very cerebral. And I think that's a mistake with music, with art, with film, with anything that has to do with creativity. If it's cerebral, it's kind of breaking it because it's really an emotion. And that's what my goal is as a filmmaker. I want to, because I feel something and I want to transmit that feeling. And so in that scene, in the hospital scene, that's what we're doing, is just going with it. And we were riffing for about 45 minutes. I think we did about 3 or 4 20-minute to 30-minute takes. And so it was a lot of stuff I had to chop up. And it's Dissolution as well, the same kind of thing. It's like less is more. And really, I noticed too, it's more and more. I mean, that's what's so great about mobile phones. You keep on shooting, you get better, you get better, you get better, you get better. Another thing is reactions. Too many people cut the dialogue. This person's talking on them. This person's talking on them. It's like sometimes you don't even need that dialogue. You just need the reaction of that other person. And that says a hell of a lot more than the words. And so I realized that in shooting Dissolution, that was just like, wow, okay. I cut off so much dialogue in Dissolution. There's practically zero dialogue. Actually, we don't even speak. I'm on the phone. She has no dialogue, actually. But she's such a great actress. She's just, she's working. She's given me so much. And then also with Upend as well. I mean, she's thrown out so much, and sometimes it's just better when I'm just reacting off of her, and then she's reacting off of me. And I think that's the beauty in acting too, is when someone is really feeling the other person, because too often we're waiting for our turn to talk, and acting. It's like, no, it's feeling. It's feeling. For me, feeling is the most ultimate thing. If someone's faking that they love you, it's like, come on, you see it. But someone who truly feels it, they don't even have to say anything. They just look at you. So I think that's a perfect example of art and of filmmaking. You let it grow.
I've said it before that and you've heard it before from other people, I'm sure, that filmmaking it's a combination of art and science, because like you were saying, in production, there's all these things you have to do. There's technical things also in post-production, but there's also the art, which is what we feel and the feelings you invoke, and bringing the viewer into your story, into your film. So they're feeling it too. I know you couldn't come to the film festival, unfortunately, but I know you planned on it and you wanted to, but it didn't happen. Yeah. But what I want to share with you is that the reaction and what people said, I haven't had a chance to tell you this, but what people said about your film was, it was deep. It was, they really felt the story. Visually, it took them somewhere. You were talking about the multiple dimension portal and all that, and you brought the viewer with you through those scenes, and you also they felt the emotions, and you did that within 5 minutes, Blake.
Yeah, I think also too the thank you, and that really makes me that really satisfies me, makes me feel really good, because that was the goal, and it's so challenging. That's what I love about short films, is that I love that challenge of trying to take someone to a certain place without forcing them, just kind of putting it there and seeing, could lead the audience to that place, and that's beautiful when that as a filmmaker, when you can accomplish that, that's the ultimate reward. It's priceless.
Also, the combination of the quality of the sound with the visuals, though.
Thank you. And also, thank you very much. And also, I have to say that, just throwing in a little tip to other filmmakers out there, I think too often, look, to my perspective, that when you link really part of the story to the poster, to the image, it's already transmitting a message to the brain. So that for me, that gains, I gain a few minutes, actually. Sure, it's a 5 minute, sure. But I think I gain a few minutes of them understanding what the film is about, just by that image of the poster, because it's kind of like a prologue. I don't even have to go to a prologue. They saw that image, they have it in their head. The name as well contributes to it. So in the story, when I'm telling the story, they have that image in the back of their mind. So there's already a subliminal message happening. So when it finally reaches the end point and you see that last scene when the credits are rolling, it all connects. We're just going back where we started from the very first poster. So for anyone who's doing future films, they have to keep that in mind. I think too often they're focused on the dialogue or the style of the film. It's like it's all whole. It's all one big ball of clay, and you really have to think about. In essence, your prologue is the poster. You want people to walk into the movie theater or into seeing your short with that image in mind, if it's possible. If they haven't seen the image, that's okay too. But to my understanding, for the most part, people can see an image on the booklet or something like that. Usually they see an image of some sort. If not, that's okay too, but it's got to work. It's got to be able to work both ways. Or they see the short and then they look at the image and then all of a sudden that kind of like, aha, now I get it. So I think graphic design is a part of it as well. Poster design, the name especially. I think the name has to really connect with what the film is about. And it's I just love art. I just love of the art of storytelling.
That's right. And that's what I love about this medium. And I mean, we've had many conversations, and how I feel about storytelling and how upscale it is for me. How to me it's like more important than anybody even realizes, as far as I'm concerned, from what I can see. And the fact that we have this wonderful medium where you can see, where you can hear, where you can feel a story being told, and you can conceive it, and then you can have a perception of it as well, which is personal.
Yeah.
Well, that's it, guys. No, I'm just kidding.
Go ahead.
No, you were going to say something.
Yeah, sound. Just sound. I mean, sound is a huge part of it. Miking your actors right. Taking sounds from your environment. That's a huge element. Huge element. ADR. A lot of times ADR is overlooked. Additional dialogue recording. Just the stuff that you add after the film has been made, I think is really important as well. And music is also high priority. Too often, people get stuck with tent music. At least in Hollywood, you see a lot of films have similar kind of sound. It's because each person says, I want to sound like this, kind of like this. And they don't have rights, so they make it sound kind of the same, and then everyone's kind of copying everyone else's style in a way. I think it's important to, especially as an editor, sometimes you get these music requests from directors, and you have that, but, and then the director sees it again and again and again with that same music, and it kind of embeds in it, and then all of a sudden they can't use that music, and then someone's got to make something just like that because they got married to that. Just hearing it again and again. I personally turn the music off. I work with like a playlist. So I set up a playlist of different kind of music. And that gets me in that zone. And as a one-man band, shooting it, editing it and all that myself, and the sound and all that, and music. I like to wait until the very end, and then I start giving it a touch. This one, however, I did not. I had a certain set of music that I was really in love with, and I broke my own rules. I left it in there for a good like 5 days to a week, and it got me. And so when I tried to get the rights to it and I couldn't get it, it was kind of heartbreaking, because I was like, oh man, this is really good music. How am I going to do this? So I had to like recompose a whole nother track. There was no way I could copy the other one, because I mean, it was a full choir. It was really just very intricate. And now everyone probably wants to hear what it was. And until you got those rights, until you have that signed or that okay, you don't use it. You shouldn't use it. And I mean, for higher productions, sure, they have the rights, and they put in the music actually because they want. Sometimes they like, for instance, like Baby Driver. They want they're editing to the music even.
Oh well, yeah.
So that's another thing. That's another way of approaching it, which is awesome too. I mean, right now I'm doing my reel, my director's reel. And I'm editing to the music, so it's like
Yeah, I did that to the video trailer last year as well, where I actually brought the video into GarageBand. The year before, I did it the other way. I made the music and I cut the video to the music. Mm-hmm. Last year, I did the opposite. I cut the music to the video because I composed the music myself to it.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah. So yeah, and that's always pretty cool when you're doing like a montage or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let me ask you one last question about the because you spoke about post-production.
Mm-hmm.
What was that process? Getting a little more detailed and technical on it. Like, for example, what software did you use?
I wanted to edit with DaVinci Resolve, and do the coloring with DaVinci Resolve, but because of time pressure, right now I'm in the middle of switching platforms from Premiere to DaVinci. Yeah. Just because the composition is out of this world, and I really like how everything's in the box. So basically, I can edit, I can color, I could also do effects in terms of visual, tracking, and audio, all in one program. So basically, what I usually do is I upload it. I put it into Adobe Premiere, and then sync up the audio that I have from the lavalier mics, the boom mic, and then I chop it up and fine tune the coloring and basically get everything looking how I want, pretty much. And then I output it, and then I edit all the sound in Pro Tools. And sometimes I do the music and the sound in Pro Tools, depending on the scenario. Sometimes I do the music in Logic, and then I bring it in the Pro Tools. It just depends on how I feel. I may use both programs, but visually, for the technical part, just a lot of fine-tuning different plugins, third-party plugins on Adobe Premiere, and just experimenting with different effects. I mean, if anything, for beginner filmmakers and intermediate, if you haven't checked it out, I just say, like, spend an hour or two every day just playing with different effects, just so you have that in your tool case, in your mind, of like, oh, I could add this effect to create that idea, So that's pretty much what I did. I was experimenting also with a lot of overlays, experimenting also with green screen, and also After Effects. So the last part of it, I had someone actually working on I had a specific person in mind that I wanted to work on the effects. There's a lot more stuff that I didn't use in the film specifically because I didn't have this one person. At the last minute, they got another gig. Totally understandable. Everything was fine. But I had to basically do all the effects myself. And there was one particular scene, that one kind of last big scene at the end that I needed. That had to be in the film. There was a reason for that. That was the aha kind of moment. And so this was like narrowing down to the very last minute because I was putting it off. I was like, oh man. I used to work on After Effects a while back. We're talking the days of getting technical. Adobe Suite, I think CS3 or something like that. So I hadn't worked on After Effects for a while, so I had to quickly do like a boot camp learning for After Effects and get on that. And that's pretty much what I did. Basically, like I think it took me 16 hours, 15 hours, something like that, and just cranked it, did it, and it looked awesome. And I was like, well, I could do more of this. But it's a lot of work, and again, it goes post production. I mean, it's your whole entire film could take a whole new life, and there is no boundaries in mobile filmmaking. And if anything, I want to say to other filmmakers, anyone who tells you that there's a boundary in mobile filmmaking, if it doesn't have to do with shooting in the dark, just tell them to keep on doing what they're doing. You do what you do. But the thing is, there is no limits in mobile filmmaking. Actually, you can do more because you can shoot anywhere you want, anytime you want. You don't have this gigantic rig. You don't need a few guys to carry your camera. You don't look like a giant robot drone walking down the street. You just have your cell phone. Everyone sees a cell phone. So actually, I say you have a hell of a lot more territory to cover in mobile filmmaking than you do with other films. And for me, it's opened up a whole new world. I'm shooting all the time. I'm addicted to it because I just get better and better and better. Meanwhile, I have friends who, they use they have a Red or they have an Arri or Canon or Nikon, whatever, any level of that. Look, that's fine, but they got to plan their shoots. They need a crew. I only need me. I depend on myself, and I'm shooting a hell of a lot more films than they are. So at the end of the day, my goal is not to be with Arri or Red or anything. My goal is to be with Panavision. I want to go up I want to hit that level. So that's the thing with mobile filmmaking. It's an art, and it's not an art unto itself. Filmmaking is an art, period. And if you're telling a good story, if you're giving people an emotion, you got it.
That's really what it comes down to for the viewer.
That's what it boils down to.
Yeah, but there's three sides to this. There's the viewer side, which is that, but it's there are days when it's like I need to escape the reality of my world, and I know that if I watch a movie, nothing's gonna matter because I'm going to go and dive into this world, and it's gonna take me away from here. You know what I'm saying? And then there is the other side of that, which is the making of the film. And there are two types of filmmakers. There's the filmmakers that love the big show. You were referring to the drone, right? And then there's the filmmaker like you who's more of a minimalist and feels empowered by that, as opposed to the empowerment feeling that the other filmmakers get, where everything's grand. Look at me and how special I am. I've got all this stuff and good luck. It's like the difference between driving a VW Bug and driving I don't know, a big bus or something like that. You know what I'm saying? It's like, haha, good luck
Well,
trying to
yeah,
write
look,
this.
that's at the end of the day, I just good for them. You know, they're
Right?
happy with their stuff. That's fine. But the fact of the matter is, I can get up and go
Yep.
anytime. Uh, so it's just I prefer mobility at the moment. You know, I'm taking a different route. Um, Look, at the end of the day, it's practice.
And you have filmmakers
Um,
like Steven Soderbergh who could use the big cranes and the big this and the big that and has access to all that. And he tried mobile filmmaking and he fell in love.
yeah. It's mobility, accessibility. You don't need much of a crew, and you can shoot a hell of a lot more. At the end, you know, we're living in an age where it's all about content,
Right.
and you know, while other people are taking months and or even years planning stuff, yeah, I'm just taking weeks, and I'm doing a few films a year, done. And no one even questions if it's a mobile phone. At the end of the day, they're looking at it. I mean, my director's reel. There's people could look at my director's reel now at blakeworrell.com. There's about 5 shots that are with a normal camera. Try to find those shots and send me an email. Tell me what those shots are. You can't figure it out. It looks they all look like they're shot with the real camera. So at the end of the day, it's like, how good are you at post? How good are you at sound design? How good are you at telling a story? How good are you at shooting, at compositing a shot? You know, how good are you in using this equipment?
And
I mean,
structuring
look,
your story in post too and how you tell that.
yeah, look, anyone could sit behind the wheel of a 747 jet, but can they fly it?
I was gonna say, yeah.
You know, I'm practicing with a Cessna right now, but hey, I'm doing aerial flips and all that stuff. So yeah, it's like you learn the rules to break them. That's what I'm doing now. I'm making all my mistakes now. You know, people. I mean, to make a mistake on a big production, talk about stress. I mean, some people just like break down and never go back to it.
Well, and the budget. I mean, you're there.
And budgets,
and that
and the reputation, even their reputation.
The story gets affected by budget because all of a sudden it's your investors that are designing your story and telling you what you can and cannot do with your story. And that's freedom for the mobile filmmaker. Hey, it's my budget. I don't need you to tell me because you're not giving me money.
Yeah. And then also goes also to actors as well. I mean, there's these actors that don't really do much practice. They don't rehearse. They don't do theater. They just want to go straight to the big leagues. And it's like, okay, so you're going to get on this high budget film, and you're going to show that you really can act. You haven't put in the work. I mean, maybe you do a good job, kind of, but at the end of the day, it just comes down to practice. You know, you got to keep it warm. It's like, Olympic trainer. You know, you got to train all the time. If you want to be in Olympics, you got to be fit. You got to be ready to go. And that's what it's about. And it's not about the tools that you have. It's about the skills that you have to make those tools work for you.
Yeah, it's what you're doing. It's what you're doing with those tools. You know, the rocks and the sticks scenario that I always end up bringing up with this technology, because we're going through an evolution, everybody. I mean, the last time we all were holding the same tool was back in those days when the only tools that we used were a rock and a stick, and we used it for everything. We used it to make other tools and to make homes and build things, but we also used it for storytelling because we were drawing on cave walls using rocks and sticks. And now we're using the smartphone for everything, including sharing stories through film, using the camera, on social media. Whenever you put a video post or share a picture and you're doing it with your phone with some words, you're sharing stories. You're sharing your stories. And I know you got to go. So
Yeah.
I'm going to cut this short. But will you just share a little bit? Now, we in the intro shared a little bit of a tease, with your song Bumpers from your album, The Beast Within, which you released in 2013. And I know you're doing other things with music, but would you care to share anything about that?
Yeah, so I was doing music back in the days from around, I mean, my main career in music was full focus on it was between 2003 and 2014. And then I dove into film.
Yep.
So this track that I think you're playing is called Bumpers from my last album, The Beast Within. Since then, I did some collaborations with a group called Smokey Joe and the Kid, and I recommend you check that out on YouTube if you want. Did a couple really awesome tracks. And I'm still doing music, actually, but I'm doing more film music now.
Cool.
And I just love it. I love that. I love that element. And music for me is just, it's always going to be in my life.
Yeah. For most of us, it always is, right? I don't know about you, but sometimes I hear a song and to me that's like it's a movie. It's like, oh, this song is my movie because of, like you're driving in the car, right? And you hear this wonderful song and you're like, yeah, this is my movie. I'm in the car and I'm going somewhere and this is my movie. That's just me probably, right?
Yeah, no. Just every song is kind of, for me, like a storytelling. That's, yeah. I mean, for me, when I would write songs, I would see a film.
Wow, that's awesome. Well, I don't want you to be late. And for our listeners, I just have to say that we're going to add these links. Watch the film. I'm actually going to share 2 versions of your film. You shortened it. So many people have done this for our film festival. You shortened the 5-minute version. And then you have it's 6 minutes, isn't it? The other one?
Yeah, 6 minutes. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm going to share both versions there, and so you could see them. You probably will want to see the 6-minute version, though. If I were you, listener, I would just watch the 6-minute. But I put them both there, just so you know.
It's hard because when I did that edit, I did like the 5-minute version too. I was like, well, actually, I should have not used that little that scene, that little clip there. I could have taken that out. I didn't really need that. I could have taken that out. And then I saw then I started to work on it more. I was like, oh, God, okay, I'm going to leave it like this. At some point you got to let it go.
Well spoken, like an artist. You're only done when the deadline comes, right?
Yeah. And so, I like them both, but I would say, I don't know which one to watch first. I would almost say watch the short one, the 5-minute one first, and then the 6-minute one. But then it's like, I don't know. For me, the original is the 6 minutes. So
I would say watch the 6. Now they're gonna do whatever they want to do, Blake. But but I would say watch the 6-minute one, and then watch the 5-minute one, which is the one where he won this award with our film festival. And I think it's a good something to learn something from too, because quite honestly, you're not the first that has shortened our film to fit within the criteria of our film festival. But there have been some that actually say, by tightening this up and making it shorter, because I had to let go of some other stuff that, that I wanted, it actually ended up better. Not to say that yours ended up better. I'm just saying it worked, which is great. But it did win the first prize award. So whatever, right? So, well, hey, let's say goodbye to everybody and follow Blake. Go to his website. I will share the links with you. He already shared, Blake Worrell on Instagram, but, it's no big secret that on Facebook, it's Blake Worrell. There's 2 R's and 2 L's. And his website, guess what his website is, guys? It is, share it, Blake.
BlakeWorrell.com.
That's right. So
RRL.
That's right. It's a new thing, right? You're gonna make a song with that. Say goodbye to everybody, Blake.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for listening. And please check me out. Feel free to send me any messages, any questions. Happy to answer them. And follow me on Instagram. I'm posting a lot of stuff behind the scenes, what I'm working on. And look forward to, thank you for having me on this podcast. I look forward to talking to you again next time.
Like a basketball, crushing y'all like cereal. Stereo very low, feel the bubbles tearing through. Reconnect, repeat it, rewind, DJ, bump that shit. Oh yes, this have a hefty honey they've been waiting to blow. Oh yes, this got a lot of weight, so take a load off your loaf. You feel that impact from the push, that be me flexing my zone. I wanna get in deeper, so deep until I explode. I like the way that bump, 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 bump. I get so crazy from that bump, 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 bump. I can't stop moving when it bump, 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 bump. Here, listen, take a dive, get down and enjoy the ride. Rub a dub dub and break a sweat. Here it come now, yeah, take a hit. This ain't no itty bitty hop and pop affair. Oh no no, it's all about booming up that system, feeling hits from the floor. Oh please, I can't get tired 'cause I'm all up in this juice. Look, see these waves be rolling, riding, headed up to the hills. Feel that bumping, muffin, nolly. Here we top it. You know it's getting naughty, 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 naughty. Here I go, watch this tenfold drastic transform mind kick.